Today we're at the Hino Hot Enduro course in Gunma in Japan. It's the day after a typhoon, so everywhere's soaking wet. Rained all day yesterday. It was actually raining a little bit this morning, but it's not actually as bad as I thought it would be, but pretty slick in places. Bike has done 6.3 hours now. I rode it last week for the second ride. Today's the third ride. It's running much better than the first ride. So most new bikes, it takes me quite a while to get comfortable on it, but it's 2024 as a deal. Feels really comfortable. It feels lightweight, nimble. The power on the first ride was a bit, well, the bottom end very strong, so I was pleased with that. It's still very strong, but the mid top end was not good, but that's improved now. So yeah, all round I think it's a great bike. Definitely the best stock bike I've ever had, no question about it. Nice slippery clay section, which I'm going to coast down. I actually really like this stop start switch, the new one. See, now I've pushed it off and it stays off. It's a very positive feeling switch, and I mentioned before there was a recall on them. The initial ones, if you got water into them, the starter motor would stay on, so I did that recall. That delayed my bike delivery by about 2 weeks, but I've got the updated switch and no problem, so I'm actually liking it, so carry on riding it. I saw the EXC TBI models have a different switch system. I think I'm going to go round here. I did not bring my saw with me today because we're in a course. I wasn't expecting there to be big trees down. Maybe get through up there. Other things, pretty much no damage yet, other than my seat, which I ripped here in 2 places, and I ripped it not on a ride, at home in the garage. It fell over just after I finished working on it, and it landed on my big 20-ton press and ripped the seat cover, which I was not pleased about. Ordered a new seat cover. We'll put that on when I get it. The only thing I don't like about these seats is they're not waterproof. They have stitching and some holes. So I'm going to look into waterproofing that on the inside so water doesn't get into the foam and degrade it. So we arrived at Hino Hot Enduro course this morning, about 8:30 in the morning. No one here. Thought maybe it's closed due to the heavy rain, but we asked the guy and they said no, it's open. So we are the only 2 riders in the whole course. Maybe some others will come this afternoon, but yeah, we got the whole course to ourselves. Epic. Oops. Lots of trees down. Also had some high winds here yesterday in a typhoon. lucky I got it, well, it was heavy rain. Wind wasn't so strong. It poured with rain. Can't understand why no one else is here. The mods I'm going to make. So one is the radiator power. So I'm running the KTM factory radiator, which is made by Trailtech. I really like it because it has a digital gauge, which is great for warm-up. You can see how hot the radiator is and then make a decision about when to start riding. So I really like this radiator. The only issue I have with it is the power. So you cannot run it off the 2024 fan circuit, which is controlled by the ECU. Well, you could, but it would only come on when the ECU tells it to come on. And that kind of defeats the purpose of having the on and off temp control. So I set mine to 95 degrees C, and I think that's a good temp. So I didn't want to do that. So right now I've got it connected directly to the battery, which works, but the only problem is on days like today where I'm waiting, resting a fair bit, when you have been running hard and then just stop, the radiator will continue to run until the radiator temperature is down to the cutoff temp, so below 95 degrees C. Which is fine if you only do it once or twice, but if you do it over and over and over and your run time is not that long, you can actually run the battery down. So that's not ideal, obviously, because there's no kickstart. You'd have to have a capacitor and bump start if you did get a completely flat battery. So that's one thing I want to sort out, and the idea I have right now is to take power from the OCU unit, so the off-road control unit, which is new for the 24. There's no fuses, it's electronically controlled, so if something goes short circuit, you don't have to change your fuse. The OCU monitors the current, will switch it back on when it's recovered. So my idea is to use the horn circuit, because I don't have a horn fitted, and I'll take the horn power. I measured a horn at I think 2.5 amps, and the fan current was about 3.5, so it's pretty close. I'm not expecting any issues doing that. I'll make a video covering that if anyone else wants to do it. It should be a pretty easy mod. And then when I do that, when I switch the bike off, after I don't know what time it is, 5 seconds or so, the ECU switches the power off to the light and the horn circuit, etc. So that if the fan was running, it would just stop and wouldn't drain the battery too much. I think that would be a much better solution. One other mod I'm very interested in is the TSP two-stroke performance engine tuning. They do a tune and a head. It's not yet available for the 300 2024 models, but probably a couple of weeks out, they said. So when that's ready, I'll probably go ahead and order that and see how that runs. And they have a updated one now with a control unit with a LCD display, which allows you to do reflashes yourself, so you don't have to send your ECU off to TSP or a TSP distributor to do the reflash. And it also allows for stock program storage and error code readout, etc. So I think that would be really handy, and keen to test that when it becomes available. Other than that, I think I'm in pretty good shape. I'm using the stock handlebars. I've gone off using the high bend bars. So for quite a while I was using Renthal RC high bend bars, which are quite a bit higher than stock. The problem I have with them is doing hill climbs. It doesn't put you in a good position. You find yourself having to pull yourself really far forwards to stop the front wheel lifting. The stock bend bars much lower and much better position for hill climbs. Not as comfortable riding on the flat or going downhill, but that's a compromise I'm kind of willing to to make because I have more problems doing hill climbs than other stuff. So I'm liking this setup, and I've got the X-Trig handlebar lower mounts, which have this shock isolation elastomer here, and then I'm running the BRP upper mounts, which serve as a handlebar mount as well. Super beefy, and I've been using them for years, never damaged one. So these are really good, like them. What's that?
I fucking died.
You're dying?
I'm just beginning.
There's a fun section here.
Oh, great.
You see it? The rocks are actually grippier than the other sections. Quite a bit easier.
My arm's like spaghetti. Is it a lot of stream like this still?
No. Well, there is a bit more, but shall I ride it here?
Yeah, I have no power, dude.
Okay. I'll give it a go.
I'm just shaking just holding this motherfucking cat.
Flames out. Oops. It's so much easier getting traction on the two-stroke. Huge difference. Four-stroke just wanted to spin the wheel. It just hooks up and goes. Yeah, this sort of terrain, the two-stroke is definitely the way to go. So much less tiring as well. God, just that really short section tired me out on the 500, and yeah, it's one of the lighter bikes as well. It's just the torque characteristics. It's got so much power, and it's quite abrupt coming in. Tends to want to spin the wheel and lose traction. Maybe it's just my skill level that needs to be improved, or maybe I need to fit a recluse clutch to all the bikes I ride. You're through the worst of it now.
What's that?
You're through the worst of it.
Man. I got no juice.
I've got some beers in the fridge, in the van when we get back.
I'll just lay in the bed of the truck then.
So on last week's ride I actually had a map switch fitted so I could check out the two different maps. Things I found. So when I initially installed the map switch, I found my bike to be in the green map, which is the advanced map, the high power, high traction map, which was a surprise because the KTM manual states that it should be in the standard map. So that's different from what the manual says. I tried the white map as well, which is intended for low traction. Last week's ride, it was not particularly low traction conditions, so I didn't test it that much. I didn't find a huge difference in the maps, so I stuck with the green advanced map, and that's what I have it set to now. So the same as stock, the higher power map. Other things I check with the map switch: when you disconnect the map switch, power off the bike, power it on again, and check with the map switch, it stays in the last map you used. So if you remove the map switch when it's in the white map, it will stay in the white map. And if you remove it with the green map, it will stay in the green map. Other things I checked: some people had suggested that the CAN bus termination, which is where you basically plug the map switch into the end of the CAN bus. To do that, you have to remove the termination dongle. Some people had suggested that that termination dongle, with it installed, it will be in the high power map, and with it removed, it'll be in the lower power. My testing proved that to be not true. So having the termination installed or not installed does not change the map. What it will change is noise on the bus, and that's what it's intended to do, to put a termination on the end of the CAN bus to reduce noise. So yeah, if you don't have a map switch installed, I recommend plugging in the termination dongle. I'm still waiting for a map switch. They're on back order until the end of the year, so I won't get that, but I'm not too bothered. I would like it for low traction days like today, but the green map is okay, and that's what I'm using. Other things I found: the bike performance has improved a lot. The mid and top end, it now revs out much better. Hoping for a further improvement today's riding. The first ride it was okay on the bottom end, but the mid and top seemed very stifled, and it wouldn't rev out properly. That changed on the second ride. What I did do between the first and second ride is to calibrate the electronically controlled power valve, so the EEC calibration I performed. I did make a video about that. You can watch that if you're interested. I recommend doing that. As part of the bike setup, the dealer is supposed to do an EEC calibration. Whether they do it or not, who knows? So it's a good thing to check. It only takes a minute or two, so well worth doing. And certainly if you do a top end overhaul, have the power valve apart, I would highly recommend doing the EEC calibration again. And by doing that, it writes the start and stop points of the power valve into the ECU, and that will ensure that the power valve is working correctly. So I did that. I don't know how much influence that had on the bike running better on the second ride, but it was certainly revving out better. definitely the engine characteristic I'm most impressed with on the TBI is the bottom end torque. Just stuff like this you can lug through very easily. I'm going to continue up. Pulling way better mid and top today, no problem, much happier with it. The only thing I'm not liking right now is the fuel mileage. I get through gas really quickly, past a couple of rides. Yeah, I got through a tank of gas way quicker than a TPI. Probably worse than a carb bike, so I think it is running a little too rich. I'm keen to keep the bottom end power and maybe lean out the mid and top a little bit. Really well on slopes like that, super slippery, but just lug it up, keep the traction going. I did stall, the place I stalled there was a bit of a step up, and it was kind of went deep mud, and I wasn't expecting that. Other than that, really smooth.